After meeting a mysterious stranger who has otherworldly powers, a man gets banished to a parallel Earth where he fights to get back to the woman he loves. Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is a sci-fi adventure from 2023 titled The Shift. In the middle of a lake, Kevin suddenly comes up to the surface and swims away, because it turns out he's not really from our world. He then walks down the road and uses a bracelet to travel to another world, hoping to find his wife. This whole journey began more than 10 years ago. Kevin loses his job at the bank, so he goes to a bar to drink and forget his problems. There, Molly starts talking to him because her friends dared her to. It starts as a joke, but Kevin and Molly quickly like each other, start dating, get married, and have a child. Sadly, they lose their son, which puts a lot of stress on their marriage. Kevin is stuck in a job he hates, and Molly has turned to drinking a lot. One day, Kevin's boss, fed up with his attitude, tells him to take the rest of the day off, hinting that he might be fired soon. Later, Kevin gets stuck in traffic and ends up arguing with Molly over the phone. While he's distracted, another vehicle crashes into his car, causing him to black out. When he wakes up, he sees people fleeing from the flaming car, and a stranger checks on him before Kevin passes out again. When Kevin wakes up next, he finds himself in an alley with the same stranger, who calls himself the Benefactor, watching over him. Kevin hears a ringing in his ears and feels dizzy when he tries to stand. About to pass out again, the Benefactor punches him to bring him back. Once the ringing stops, the Benefactor offers Kevin a job, mentioning Kevin might lose his current employment soon. Kevin feels uneasy when the stranger seems to know personal details about him and attempts to leave. However, as he steps onto the street, he notices a complete absence of people or cars. Considering calling Molly or the police, Kevin is told by the stranger, the Benefactor, that it won't help and that this situation has happened before. Kevin, frustrated, confronts the Benefactor, demanding answers, but the Benefactor insists that it's Kevin who has moved, not everyone else. Kevin finds himself forcefully taken into a restaurant where everyone, including the owners and waitress Tina, appears frightened of the Benefactor. It dawns on Kevin that the Benefactor is actually Satan. When Tina brings food, the Benefactor intimidates her with a knife, forcing her to sit next to him. The Benefactor explains that every choice we make creates many different realities where alternate decisions were taken. His power, he says, is to shift people, meaning he can send them to other universes. In Kevin's case, he brought Kevin to this particular place, and in return, he sent Molly a husband who genuinely cares for her. The Molly from Kevin's original reality was also sent away after Kevin gave her a special necklace. Kevin is skeptical and demands proof. In response, the Benefactor uses a bracelet to send Tina into another dimension. Tina's parents react with despair, and Kevin is shocked, stepping back from the table. The Benefactor insists he has a job offer for Kevin. In every reality, he has a shifter who does his devilish work while he jumps between universes, and he wants Kevin to be one of them. In other realities, other versions of Kevin have already agreed to the Benefactor's offer and have everything they desire, but they had to give up their souls. The Benefactor even offers Kevin a perfect version of Molly, but Kevin chooses to pray instead. Initially finding it amusing, the Benefactor mocks Kevin's prayer, stating that God won't intervene, but eventually, he becomes angry at being ignored and disappears. Feeling bewildered, Kevin apologizes to Tina's family and goes out to the street, where he begins to learn more about this reality. In this version of society, people live under a totalitarian regime, and officers wearing advanced armor patrol the streets. When some of these officers notice Kevin, he becomes frightened and flees. As time passes, Kevin must adjust to the new society and understand its history. War and hatred consumed this society to the brink of destroying the world. Eventually, the shifters emerged, operating covertly to eliminate individuals they deemed troublesome, such as politicians, religious leaders, and soldiers. Millions vanished, and a semblance of peace returned until the Benefactor arrived in this world. The remaining leaders surrendered control to him. Now, hope and faith are lost in this world, and religion is outlawed. It has been 5 years since Kevin arrived here. He suffers from chronic illness and is known as the Kevin who refused. So he adopts a fake identity and works for a construction company. His sole confidant is Gabriel, who is aware of Kevin's true circumstances. Kevin rebels against the law prohibiting prayer by typing out Bible passages and secretly distributing them through Gabriel. During his spare time, Kevin endeavors to assist as many individuals as he can, aiming to improve the dismal city. War has ravaged most of the world, leaving many impoverished, while the Benefactor's secret police enforce harsh rule over the streets. As Kevin wanders the city, spreading kindness, he encounters moments of beauty that evoke memories of Molly and strengthen his faith in God. However, these memories sometimes turn into nightmares, replaying the loss of Molly and his son repeatedly. Additionally, Kevin enjoys attending the theater to partake in Vika Viewing, a live broadcast showcasing alternate realities. The theater is owned by Russo, who has been searching for his missing cat for 4 years. In front of the screen, there's a chair where Kevin sits with a remote control, allowing him to switch between different realities. His main aim is to locate where the Benefactor has sent Molly. Often, he witnesses the brutality of other realities, but one afternoon, Kevin becomes emotional as he finally sees Molly again. In this alternate reality, Molly is a single mother working as a nurse. Overcome with emotion, Kevin tries to touch the screen, but the recording ends, forcing him to step back and respect the boundaries. As his time in the theater ends, Kevin hurriedly approaches Russo for more viewing time, but Russo's schedule is full. He advises Kevin to return in a few days. On his way home, Kevin comes across a large protest at the bridge. People are upset because the police won't let them cross into the south end, which is scheduled for demolition. This means many will lose their homes. Suddenly, a man leaps over the barrier and past the cops, only to vanish in the middle of the bridge, revealing himself as a shifter. The crowd becomes frantic, pushing against the police, who respond by throwing gas bombs and firing shots to disperse them. In the chaos, Kevin is almost shot by a cop, but is pulled away by Gabriel just in time. They seek refuge in an old factory, where Gabriel expresses his belief that God has abandoned them. Afterward, Kevin goes to the grocery store. While waiting in line, he notices a child wandering away from his mother. He hurries after the child, but when he turns the corner, the child is gone. This triggers painful memories of when he and Molly lost their son in a supermarket. Fortunately, the child reappears next to his mother. However, Kevin can't help but scold the mother for not noticing her child was missing. Everyone in the store stares at him as if he's crazy, so Kevin panics and flees. As he runs through the streets, he reflects on the day he lost his son. They had briefly turned around to greet some friends, and in those few seconds, their son disappeared. Despite searching everywhere, they couldn't find him. Later, the police found the child's backpack, but not the child, leading them to believe he was dead. After their son disappeared, Molly and Kevin constantly argued. Molly coped by drinking heavily, while Kevin sought solace in a support group. In an attempt to offer hope, Kevin gifted Molly a necklace with the inscription, "He lives," but she found it inappropriate. She wanted Kevin to grieve with her and move forward, but Kevin clung to the belief that they could still find their son. This disagreement eventually led to their separation. In the present, Kevin rummages through a trash can for alcohol when his neighbor Rajit spots him. Rajit invites Kevin to join his family for dinner, and Kevin enjoys a pleasant evening. However, Rajit surprises Kevin by revealing that he knows Kevin's real name, having overheard Gabriel mention it. Rajit also knows about Kevin sharing Bible verses, so he expresses gratitude by having his daughters sing a sweet song. Kevin is deeply moved by this glimmer of hope and tears up. When Rajit asks Kevin to teach his daughters, Kevin readily agrees. That evening, Kevin shares as many Bible stories as he can recall. Afterward, Rajit notices a tattoo on Kevin's body, and Kevin explains that it symbolizes an empty tomb, coincidentally matching the design of Molly's necklace. Suddenly, a siren blares across the city, prompting people to scramble for cover. Kevin and Rajit's family turn on the TV to watch an emergency broadcast announcing the return of the Benefactor. The mayor urges citizens to cooperate with the Benefactor's requests or face death as punishment. Sometime later, Kevin returns to the theater and sifts through the different versions of Molly from alternate universes until he spots one wearing the necklace, indicating she's the Molly from his world who was shifted. Excited, Kevin hurries to the control room to celebrate and request the address code for that universe. However, Russo explains that he can't provide it because he lost the connection when Kevin left the chair. Kevin becomes agitated, but Russo scolds him and clarifies that he doesn't have the code. Kevin insists on trying again, but Russo refuses, explaining that even if they locate the same Molly, which could take hours, the address is useless without the special bracelet known as the Deviator. A desperate Kevin finds Gabriel and pulls him into an alley to talk. Kevin asks Gabriel to get him a gun so he can confront the Benefactor, but Gabriel reminds him that weapons are illegal and attempting to kill the devil is irrational. Kevin gives Gabriel an envelope containing more Bible stories, saying they'll be the last ones. Reluctantly, Gabriel gives Kevin his own gun. The following day, Kevin tries to approach the area where the Benefactor is visiting a restaurant to recruit his next shifter. Police have set up barriers, but crowds gather everywhere to catch a glimpse of the Benefactor. Some people even get into fights over better viewing spots. While the police are occupied with the fights, Kevin sneaks around and enters the restaurant to confront the Benefactor. To his surprise, when Kevin enters what he expects to be the restaurant, he finds himself in his motel room instead. Perplexed, he steps outside and sees the restaurant's entrance again, where the Benefactor is dining with another version of himself. This reveals that the door acts as a teleporting trap. Suddenly, the police opened fire, injuring Kevin's arm and prompting him to retreat back into his room to hide. Whenever he peeks outside, he spots the cops waiting for him. Angry and frustrated, Kevin drops the gun and starts wrecking his room, venting his frustrations towards God for testing him so relentlessly. As he kneels to pray, the Benefactor appears in the room and takes the gun, then summons Gabriel. Gabriel, however, denies knowing Kevin, so the amused Benefactor makes the gun vanish and orders Gabriel to tidy up the room. The Benefactor delivers a speech asserting that God doesn't care and offers Kevin the job again. Kevin, however, asks about his son. In response, the Benefactor tells Kevin to leave the room so he can realize he isn't a good person. Kevin rushes outside and encounters the police searching for him. Rajit tries to protect him, but is shot by the police. The police then come after Kevin, prompting him to retreat into the room and hide behind the bed. Gabriel is slow to react, and when the officers shoot from outside, Gabriel is also killed. As Gabriel falls, Kevin notices a deviator on his wrist, indicating he was a shifter all along. Kevin sneaks around the bed, takes the deviator, and presses random buttons to teleport away from the danger. Kevin finds himself in the middle of a desert after using the deviator, but he realizes it's malfunctioning. After hitting it, he jumps to another universe and lands in a lake. After swimming ashore, he activates the deviator again and ends up in a random room where he finds supplies to tend to his wound. To his surprise, he discovers he's in a mental hospital, and the Tina from his world is there. The Benefactor had sent Tina to a reality where she doesn't exist, leading others to perceive her as insane and confine her with other patients. Kevin attempts to follow her and encounters another Gabriel, who begins chasing him. Multiple versions of Gabriel appear due to his shifter abilities, but Kevin manages to evade them by hiding in a room. Afterward, Kevin sneaks through the mental hospital, waiting for Tina to be alone so he can approach her. Initially, Tina speaks incoherently, but when she recognizes him, she becomes frantic, asking about her family and pleading to be returned. Guards intervene, restraining Tina, but they're suddenly shot by two versions of Gabriel, who then turn their attention to Kevin. Fortunately, Kevin activates the deviator and vanishes. In the next reality, Kevin finds himself in a luxurious setting with another version of himself who accepted the Benefactor's offer. This Kevin lives in luxury and has any woman he desires. Despite main Kevin's attempts to remain unseen, other Kevin discovers him and aims a gun, firing a shot into the ceiling to force him into speaking. The women flee in fear as main Kevin reveals his face and the deviator. An enraged other Kevin opens fire in an attempt to seize the deviator. At that moment, main Kevin returns back to the bleak world and finds that the police have seized control of the area. Fortunately, Rajit is still alive. Before the ambulance takes him away, Rajit's wife hands Kevin a drawing resembling Kevin's tattoo, along with the word hope. Suddenly, a woman spots Kevin and alerts the cops, who promptly begin pursuing him. Kevin sprints as fast as he can and reaches the theater, where he immediately grabs the remote to search for Molly. By a stroke of luck, Kevin locates his Molly on his first attempt and Russo provides him with the address code just as the police storm into the building. Using the deviator, Kevin vanishes just in time. Kevin reunites with his Molly, but she wants nothing to do with him. Kevin insists that he never stopped believing in them and claims he has changed, but Molly has moved on and only holds onto the necklace for memory. Suddenly, the Benefactor grabs Kevin by the shoulder and takes him back to the theater. Another version of Gabriel shoots Kevin's deviator, and the Benefactor brings Tina over. He admits to shifting Kevin's son, which infuriates Kevin, prompting him to try to attack the Benefactor. The cops quickly restrain Kevin, and the Benefactor makes a final offer. Kevin must choose between returning to Molly permanently or sending Tina back to her family. As Kevin hesitates, Russo is shocked to find his cat again, a sign of hope Kevin has been waiting for from God. He decides to send Tina back to her family, and as Tina reunites with her loved ones, the Benefactor tries to shoot Kevin with Gabriel's gun. However, a miracle occurs, blessing Kevin for his choice and transporting him to the reality where Molly is a single mother and nurse. Now that he's healed and missing his ring, Kevin approaches this Molly in the bar, mirroring how the other Molly first approached him. They hit it off right away and begin dating. Kevin starts a new life in this world, feeling like it's not where he's from, but it's where he belongs. Over time, he marries this Molly and becomes a father figure to her daughter, in addition to having a child of their own. Kevin is filled with happiness with his new family, believing that God rewarded him with even more than what he lost. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.